Good morning. Good morning, Mr. President and Chairman of Council, Prince Abimbola Olashere, members of Council, our patrons, members of Executive Committee, EXCO, our guest speaker, the moderator, our esteemed sponsors and partners, CEOs, MDs, executives, captains of industry, ladies and gentlemen. By way of introduction, I'm Tajuddin Ahmed. I'm the chairman of the Programs Committee of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, NBCC. It is my great pleasure to warmly welcome you to the NBCC International Women's Day 2026 celebration. To commence today's proceedings, please rise as we observe the Nigerian and British national anthems. Let's rise, please.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have our seats. Today's gathering is particularly significant as we join the global community in marking International Women's Day under the compelling theme, Rights, Justice, Action for All Women and Girls. This theme reminds us that the pursuit of gender equality must move beyond conversations and aspirations to deliberate, measurable actions. While advocacy raises awareness, it is sustained commitment and purposeful leadership that drive real progress. International Women's Day offers us an important moment to celebrate the remarkable contributions of women across various sectors, from businesses and governance to entrepreneurship to innovation and community development. Women continue to play a transformative role in shaping economies, strengthening institutions, and inspiring future generations. At the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, we recognize that inclusive economic growth is impossible without the active participation, certainly, and empowerment of women. Supporting women in business and leadership is not merely a social objective, it is a strategic imperative for sustainable economic development. We are particularly honored today to host a distinguished guest speaker, a lady who needs no introduction in corporate Nigeria, Mrs. Kofo Akinkugbe, OON. That clap is not resounding enough. Let the clap reflect the persona of this person we're talking about. Mrs. Akinkugbe, OON, is the founder and executive vice chairman of Secure ID Group, whose entrepreneurial journey stands as a powerful testament to resilience, innovation, and visionary leadership. Our story truly reflects the spirit of today's theme, transforming rights into opportunity and action into impact. We're also delighted to have with us as moderator a multiple award-winning journalist and media personality, Ms. Victory Wilson. She'll tell us why she had to combine those two English names when it's time for her to moderate. We want to know where she's from, in the real sense of the word. A multi-award winning journalist and international events compare, who will be guiding us through today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, achieving right and justice requires courage, while meaningful action requires commitment from all of us as leaders, professionals, investors, and change makers. Certainly, each one of us has a role to play in creating an environment where women and girls can thrive, lead, and succeed. As we start this, please join me as I welcome onto the podium the captain of our ship, the president and chairman of council of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, Prince, a natural prince, not prince by award, Prince Abimbola Olashere, president and chairman of council, to deliver his welcome address. That clap wasn't for our president. Yes, better.
Good morning, council members, ESCO members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's certainly my distinct pleasure to welcome you to today, which is our own NBCC International Women's Day. I must say this. I wonder why we say International Women's Day. Because I think all week we've been celebrating women. All month we've been celebrating women. And I think this year is the year of the woman. So next year again. And I will tell you why women are very important. And I must say this, that without them, women, will be found wanting. So can all the men in the house, even no matter how few are, please stand up and let us celebrate our women. Celebrate them, please. Celebrate them. And I'll say this. I had a personal experience today. When I got up in the morning, my wife, I said, yes, International Women's Day. I said, and what is the dress code? I said, what's my dress code? I'm wearing my suit now. I'm going to NBCC. And I said, but I saw a flyer in which NBCC now said people should come in a carrier address. But I said, no. The picture of the NBCC president, must have a particular style. So I think a suit and tie will go fine. She now asked the next natural, and what is the color of your tie? I said, what do you mean? I'm always either blue or gray. And I said, no, that there is a color for women. I said, what do you mean color for women? And I said, go and Google it. Last year it was yellow. I said, it was yellow last year. And thank God for my wife. And I sent a message to the DG. I said, DG, come, what is the color for women? And I said, for this year it is what? Purple. So the president is fully compliant. He is identified fully with the women with women in general. And I must say this, and I wonder why in Nigeria we see one going on. And I said the women have actually taken over. I was with the guest speaker in Abuja. Abuja was celebrating women last year, and a wonderful event last Friday. And when we looked around the hall, I think that comment was made. It's about time you give space for the men nowadays, because it is obvious that the women are really, and for us in Nigeria, we really must celebrate our women. It's not a case anymore of we are allowing them. I think women themselves are stepping up to the plate, and they're actually demonstrating that they can also do whatever a man can do. A woman can do. The key is to just get rid of the stereotypes that we do come across each and every time. So today we are gathering under a very powerful and compelling theme: rights, justice, and action for all women and for girls. And that theme, I think, directly speaks to the urgency of our times. International Women's Day is both a celebration and a call to responsibility. It's a celebration of strength. And I think for us in Nigeria, it's also a celebration of the success the women are indeed demonstrating in that environment. But again, we'll probably say it's a call to accelerate equality and remove the systemic barriers that we do see. As a chamber committed to promoting bilateral trade, sustainable enterprise, and inclusive economic growth, we recognize that no economy can truly thrive without the full participation of women. And we are indeed very privileged to have with us today our distinguished guest speaker, Mrs. Kofo Akikungbe OON. A very, very dear friend of mine. We've known each other for quite a number of years. And I think she's also someone that has demonstrated. And I think sometimes, if you say she made it because she's a woman, I think it's a disservice. Do you get it? She made it in spite of her gender. She made it in spite of Nigeria. And I'm sure she probably talked to that. And each time you hear her speak, it's all about promoting global businesses and making sure you can thrive in a global world. And if you set your standards to be globally competitive, you really will get to the top. So I'm sure it's almost a clarion call to women that please set your goals on being global. And once you are able to do that, you will get to the top. She is the founder and executive vice chairman of Secure ID Group, whose remarkable entrepreneurial journey exemplifies resilience, innovation, and transformational leadership. I'd like to express our profound appreciation to our valued sponsors, whose generous support has made this event possible. Here's Energies, Balema FinTech, Lagos Internal Revenue Service, Real Exchange PLC, Cardinal Stone, Sovereign Trust PLC, and our product sponsors, Right Foods Limited, Page Financial, First Bank, Sycamore, Maya PLC, and others. I must say this, I've been coming here to deliver a presidential speech. I don't think I've listed as many sponsors as I've listed today. It also tells you that Nigerian brands know that they must identify with women. That's why they're all lining up to be sure that they're part and parcel of this. All I do is to remind them that this is an NGO. After we've done the women, we'll be back again to say, please continue supporting our programs. Your commitment as sponsors demonstrates your leadership and a shared belief in advancing inclusion and opportunity. Obviously, I'd like to give my appreciation to the programs committee led by Satajdi Ahmed. As usual, when we say in NBCC, it's one program, one after the other. And it's almost a full-time job. And I look at the programs committee led by Ahmed, and I say, look, when do you guys have time for your own businesses? But again, it's all to make sure that we are all contributing our own quota towards moving this country forward. And again, at this point, I must also celebrate and thank the women of our chamber, the women in our council, women in our ESCO. I can see them on that table. And I can say that without them and their energy, I wonder what we will do. As president, I'm forced to stand up and take the accolades. But please, it belongs to them. And I can tell you without any doubt, without the women who are in this chamber and moving us forward. And I must not forget our DG. Where is she? She's always hiding somewhere. Where's Adobe? Okay, there she is. I can see. I won't say we are gender sensitive. It's just that in NBCC, we move our women forward. They've demonstrated that they can actually take the chamber to the level that we truly want. So it's really on behalf of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. I thank you all for joining us this morning. I encourage you to engage actively, listen intentionally, and live inspired to translate today's conversations into meaningful action. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's appreciate our president again. The decibel level of that applause is not comfortable. Yes, it's better. Thank God I'm not the president of NBCC. So I can afford to follow the dress code with my cap and my kaftan, so I didn't have to appear in suit. Mr. President gave an anecdote about his personal experience with women. Let me take a cue from our leader, to give my own example. So I have a daughter who is going to be 19 later this year. And I noticed there an uncanny attribute of this daughter of mine. The other siblings are two boys. Whenever I flew anywhere, the first person that asked, Daddy, have you arrived? Is my daughter. If I have a series of meetings that would have meant that I've skipped lunch or dinner, the only child of mine out of the three of them that will say, Daddy, have you eaten? Is that daughter. So the reason why I said this is before I became a father, so she's going to be 19, I used to think it was a myth that female children are closer to their dads than to their mothers. and they have this very special bond. So I think with me, I just proved that it's not a myth, but it's a reality. So maybe we should start making more girls, if we are not already doing that at the moment in Africa. Let's give a round of applause to our girls and ladies once more as we move ahead. So next on the agenda is a goodwill message from our main sponsors, Hares Energies, represented by Elemuno Olumagin, SVP HR. Let's give her a round of applause. They gave money. Please, that applause should reflect it.
I use this? Okay. Good morning again, everyone. Distinguished guests, our president, council members, and every woman present and listening online. You're welcome. That was a very warm opening, and thank you, Mr. President. My name is Elue Olumagin. I'm Senior Vice President, Human Resources at Hares Energies and also Group Human Resources Director across the Hares Holdings Group. It's my honor today to stand in the place of my CEO, whose goodwill message I'll be sharing with us today. So on behalf of Hares Energies, it's, as I said, truly an honor to be here today to celebrate with you. We can't have too many days to celebrate our women because we're doing so many remarkable things every day. Days like this are important because they remind us the progress doesn't happen by chance. The progress we've made to this point in pushing women to the fore was done deliberately, and we need to continue in that stead. It happens because individuals here and around the world, institutions and organizations, they make deliberate choices to expand opportunity and create pathways for others to succeed. The Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce has played an important role in strengthening partnerships between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, promoting enterprise, creating platforms where businesses, ideas, and people can thrive. Today's gathering is another example of that commitment, bringing together leaders and change makers to reflect on how we can continue opening doors for women across industries and across all our sectors. In sectors such as ours, in energy, the importance of this conversation cannot be overstated. Energy powers economies, it fuels industries, it drives development. And for that future to be truly inclusive and sustainable, the people shaping it must reflect the full diversity of our societies. For us at Hares Energies, we believe that empowering women is not simply about representation. It is about unlocking talent, innovation, and leadership, which abounds in us. Across our organization in particular, women contribute meaningfully in leadership, technical, and operational roles, but we also recognize that building opportunity must extend beyond our organization into our communities, entrepreneurship ecosystems, and the broader economy. This commitment reflects the broader vision championed by our chairman, Tony Elumelu CFR, whose philosophy of Afri-capitalism recognizes that the private sector has a responsibility not only to generate economic returns, but also to create social wealth and shared prosperity. So through the Tony Elumelu Foundation, this vision has translated into one of the largest entrepreneurship programs on the continent, so far empowering over 20,000 African entrepreneurs with business training, mentorship, and seed capital to launch and grow their ventures. Almost half of that number, about 45%, are women. And these entrepreneurs whose businesses are creating jobs, strengthening families, and contributing meaningfully to the growth of African economies, continue to receive our support. It's a powerful reminder When women are empowered economically, the impact extends far beyond the individual. It strengthens family, it strengthens communities, it accelerates national development. I'm sure a lot of us here, way back, we remember there were posters in schools around the country. There was a campaign, educate a woman, educate a nation. Today it's empower a woman, empower the nation. So as we mark International Women's Day, our collective task is clear. We must continue to build environments that enable women not just to participate, but to lead. From our boardrooms to our laboratories, engineering teams, entrepreneurial ventures, and across every sector that drives the economies forward. So because when women rise, our societies rise along with them. On behalf of Hares Energies, I commend the Nigeria-British Chamber of Commerce for creating this important platform and for continuing to champion conversations that move us closer to more inclusiveness and a more prosperous future. Thank you, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Ms. Zulumagi. Let's appreciate her once more. Hares Energies are headline sponsors. Let's have the applause again. Without them, the packs of goodies we're going to have today might not have been available, so they need to be appreciated. Thank you, Ms. Zulumagi, for that inspiring message. Educate a child, a girl child, educate a nation. Our second headline sponsor, we have just two good messages. So the second one from Belema Fintech, Mrs. Uloma Inlemadim, the product manager, Belema Fintech. The ladies have taken over. Anybody that comes to speak for anybody, they're all ladies. Fintech, Belema Fintech, the representative, is she here? She's not here. I bet she wouldn't be represented by a guy, so let her come. She will come later. So we have our sponsors video adverts, Belema Fintech Media. Please take a cue from me and play their video adverts. Thank you.
In Nigeria's fast-evolving payment landscape, movement is everything, and Belema Fintech powers that movement. We're a licensed payment technology company enabling secure, seamless transactions across banks, microfinance institutions, and fintechs. Our flagship solutions, Belema Payment Switch and Belema Payment Gateway, deliver instant transfers, virtual accounts, and real-time settlements. We drive true interoperability, helping businesses move money faster, safer, and at lower cost. Partner with Belema Fintech today.
As second headline sponsors, they gave plenty money. Please let's appreciate them. Now, next here is, so don't be surprised that we have an all-male cast of drummers. That is where their job ends. The people that will do the dancing are all women. So let's clap for our women again. So at the chamber, we always bring new things to our event. I'm so sure a lot of us are surprised that certainly this is a new one. They are bringing an all-female cast dancers to entertain us in the spirit of International Women's Day. May we have our dancers come onto the podium? Let's appreciate our all-female cast dancers. You know, that's why females are so different. They didn't overstay their welcome. I didn't have to nudge them to leave the stage as soon as they finished. I was at a very vantage position watching them because I was at the back. So the audience didn't have the vantage position that I had when they were dancing. There's one myth that I claim to have bust a few minutes ago. So another one is to say that the female gender is a weaker gender. I don't think it's correct. History is replete with so many awe-inspiring things that females did. The Aba Women's Riot, when the men are just sitting in their rooms drinking palm wine and beer, it was the women that came out to riot during the Aba Women's Riot. Again, the Abeokuta uprising, it was women that did that, so they can't be a weaker gender. If you know the history of the Zazzau Emirate, which is a Zaria Emirate, there's a certain Queen Amina who ruled our emirate for so long. We're talking of events that dated back to several centuries ago. In different sectors, the academia, you had Professor Grace Alele Williams, the mathematician, who was called the Margaret Thatcher at the University of Benin, where she was VC. Transformational leader. We had Professor Sophie Oluwole, we had Professor Bolanle Awe. In pottery, you can't mention the history of pottery without mentioning a certain lady called Ladi Kwali. She was a pioneer of pottery. In banking, before the Amazons that dominated banking today, we had Ayora Kuforiji Olubi, who was an Amazon in the banking sector back in the day. We had Maria Shokenu of the People's Bank fame, who was also a solid banker. Today, if you want to mention them, you won't stop. Nneka Onyelepe of Fidelity Bank, Yetunde Oni of Union Bank, Adaro Major of Zenith Bank. Before now, you had Kafila Daroe of Lotus Bank. Before now, you had Aren Chigwe of Citibank. Then today, there are so many. Chinwe Logalu of Nova Bank. The women have taken over. The boards, they're taking over at CEO level, at the chairman level. Fidelity presents a very interesting spectacle. The chairman is not a man, is a lady. The MD CEO is a lady. Chairman of very, very significant committees in that bank and all ladies. Let's clap for our ladies and gentlemen. In engineering, there used to be a certain engineer, Mrs. Maduka of the NTA fame. So anything you want to talk about, aerospace, the military, you had General Kale, a medical doctor who was a major general in the military at the time. So our ladies are everywhere. And I'm actually reliably informed that these days, in the last 5 years, the best results in NECO, the best results in O-level, SSC, the best results in UTME, the best results in A-level, Cambridge exams, the best result in checkpoint are dominated by ladies. So what are the boys doing? They are sagging their trousers. Let's give a round of applause for ladies for doing so well across different sectors. Now, I have the honor to do this as we start the proceedings in the real sense of the word. To read a very, very short, extremely abridged profile of our guest speaker. If I were to do justice to our profile, we won't leave here till about noon. So we had to compress it to 3 paragraphs. Kofo Akikugbe ON is one of Africa's most accomplished technology entrepreneurs and a respected voice in manufacturing, innovation, and digital security. As the founder and executive vice chairman of Secure ID Group, she leads a globally certified smart card and digital solutions company that serves clients across 21 African countries. in banking, in telecommunications, identity management, and transportation. Under our state leadership, Secure ID established Sub-Saharan Africa's first mass card production facility, certified by MasterCard, Visa, Verve, ISO 9001. You should clap now. It's not easy to have all of those certifications, GSMA, GH-Link, GMAC, and CQM. I pretended as if I knew those abbreviations. I don't. The group also consists of two other subsidiaries, SID Digital, the FinTech Division, and Transport Payment Solutions, TPS, the Transport Solutions arm. Mrs. Akungbe is a prize-winning graduate of mathematics from the University of Lagos. Mathematics! Let's give her a round of applause. It's not easy. Some people had F9 5 times before they passed maths back in the day. A Chevening scholar, MBA at Strathclyde Business School, Glasgow, United Kingdom. She attended several international leadership and personal development programs, and she's the alumnus of the Harvard Business School OPM program. Let's give her a round of applause. She didn't go for a 2-day course at Harvard and claim to be an alumnus. In 2022, the federal government of Nigeria, in its continuous drive to appreciate and encourage high productivity, hard work, and excellence among Nigerian entrepreneurs, awarded Mrs. Kofu Akekugbe the National Productivity Order of Merit, NPOM, during the 19th National Production Day, NPD, in Abuja. On October 2022, Mrs. Akekugbe was conferred with the Officer of the Order of the Niger, OON, at Nigeria's National Awards investiture by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, now in memory. Let's give her a round of applause. She's not a politician. She hasn't messed up us before, and she got the national award. So if you got a national award on your own merit, you should be celebrated. Another round of applause for an OON holder who was not a politician. Ms. Kofu Akungbe sits on the board of several local and multinational corporate, philanthropic, and humanitarian organizations, alongside our role as the wife and mother of 2 inspiring young women. We're marginalized, so you have to bring 2 women again. Oh my goodness. Let's give a round of applause for our guest speaker today, as she comes to give us a very short presentation ahead of our fireside chat. Let's keep the applause coming. The decibel level is not high enough. To a distinguished Nigerian, a titan of corporate Nigeria, let's applaud her again as she comes forward. Mrs. Akekugbe, OON, by merit.
By merit. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Wow, I mean, it's such an honor to be surrounded by very distinguished people here who are trailblazers in their own space and have made significant moves. But thank you so much. The NBCC President and Chairman of Council, Prince Abimbola Olashuri. Patrons, council members, EXCO members, the DG, esteemed captains of industries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm extremely honored to be here, and, also extremely humbled to be invited as the guest speaker. The theme today, rights, justice, and action for women and girls, is very broad. And we can all relate to it, no matter our profession, calling, or gender. And when I received the invitation to be guest speaker, my immediate thought was the theme must have been crafted by a lawyer or human rights activist. as they seem to go well together, because here I am, an entrepreneur, had a dream, believed in it, and just with resilience and greater resilience, kept going and going and going, and not knowing that one day it will be recognized. But this is a subject of great contemporary relevance. And I thank the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce again for inviting me to be part of this annual event. I am far, as I've said, from being a lawyer, but as an entrepreneur, businesswoman, and corporate leader, I definitely engage with some of these issues. The company I lead is an equal opportunity employer with deep respect for inclusion and diversity as core components of our business culture on gender, ethnic, sectarian, and many other people issues are there. Now, on the subject of rights, justice, and action for women, and I liked how Mr. Tajuddin put it, right to take the opportunities. I am here as someone who has spent more than 2 decades living inside the business space between those words and the reality they describe. In the late 1990s, having had a fulfilling banking career, I decided to embark on an entrepreneurial journey and digital technology. So by 2005, I saw a gap in the digital identity, payment, and communication space. And it was there that Secure ID was founded. I saw a gap in the payment space where obviously cash was dominating the mode of payment, and electronic payment wasn't really as active. You apply for a card and it could take 3 to 6 months in those days to get a card. And also a lot of the cards were based on very old technology, magnetic stripe, which means that security could be compromised. And that's why you had a lot of 419 in those days where your card would be cloned and so on. Whilst the rest of the world were doing chip and pin cards. The other thing is that most of the cards were being imported by certified plans all over the world. There are probably about 298 certified plans all over the world. And when I looked at that space, I thought, why can't we have a smart card manufacturing plant here? Then I further looked and I realized that there wasn't even any in sub-Saharan Africa. And so I took my right to take that opportunity and went on to build a smart card manufacturing plant in Nigeria with a mindset to serve not just Nigeria, but with a global mindset. So in the reality of this, I came face to face with the issues of rights, justice, and action, head on. And they have remained a constant ever since. Rights must be inherent simply because we are humans and we are not conferred of rights on the basis of gender. It should not be a favor. And women should not have to fight or prove that they are worthy of that right. I exercise my right to be taken seriously simply because my business plan, technical knowledge was robust. I refused to accept situations, barriers, where my rights was mine on paper, but in practice, my competence was questioned because of my gender. I did not defend my right to be in that space. I simply manufactured the evidence that made the question irrelevant. Today, we have built a plant that has the capacity to produce 200 million cards annually. We started small as a startup, but we were always globally focused. And in that focus, we sort of on the journey backward integrated bit by bit as we saw success. And so we went from being a startup, doing a part of the value chain, to now setting up a factory end to end that could do this number of cards. And just to say a little bit, we produce cards for the banking industry, which is all your financial cards. We produce cards for the telecoms industry, which is SIM cards. And then we produce cards for the public sector, which is driver's license, international passports, national identity, residence cards, and so on. But in that focus, and as a woman, we never got tired. And we went on and said, look, because what was driving myself and my team was to add value. And then we looked at it and said, one day, I might be in this room and I would say, does anybody have a card? And nobody will put up their hands. And so we might be disrupted at some point. And so we went ahead and set up a digital company called SID Digital, which is a subsidiary in the group. And the mandate of that company was to disrupt everything that the core does. And so whilst we do physical cards, we also ensured we were doing digital cards. Whilst we were doing physical SIM cards, we ensured we were doing eSIMs, e-identity, e-driver's license. And this company is a digital fintech with the payment license from the central bank. But again, as we embarked on our export business, we went further to say, okay, we're exporting out, but why don't we go into those other markets? And so we then set up another factory in Kenya to take care of that region within the East African market. So it's two hubs, Nigeria and Kenya. Now, this isn't a story about overcoming the odds, but it's a story about what happens when you refuse to let a biased system write your ending. In executing the vision, I did not wait for the system to recognize our right to be there. It became an alienable right, and with the appropriate people alignment, we built something that was undeniable, undeniable that the question of whether I belong became irrelevant. And just to go a little personal, the focus, as I said, was more on the value that you're bringing. And I remember when we started, of course, after a few years, first of all, when we started, the first 2 years was not easy. We made losses. And, but we just kept going. And we knew that, the market needed this. And we also knew that competition will come. And competition did come. But we ensured that our values was not compromised. And if I go a little personal, I remember in those days, I used to do a lot of trips on Exia to go and see my girls. And so, sometimes as a woman, we're sometimes limited because we sometimes can't sit in beer parlors and go clubbing with some of our clients or go to the golf course because we're busy trying to, fulfill work-life balance and so on. And obviously those were issues. Those were live issues, and it's something that I can't say wasn't there. But how did a female entrepreneur lead in this space where her counterparts are male? And they had the time and resources to be able to get the clients. Deals were made, on the golf course, or let's go clubbing, and the deals are there. But what I focused on was to focus on the quality of the product, the quality of the brand, the quality of the output. And that was what spoke for us. Now, when you talk about the concept of justice, the concept of justice captures a situation where the system operates with the same rules for everyone, irrespective of gender or circumstance. The reality is that as a woman entrepreneur, I had to constantly depend, as I said, on building our brand, building the product quality and services to win in the marketplace. And that was the focus. It is often said that true justice is anchored on the law, but that may not be enough. Because the law does not address the cultural barriers that we have, the systemic ones, the economic barriers. The law alone cannot address it. And when we look at some of the gaps we have, I'm not a politician, but if you look at the National Assembly, for instance, only 3.9% of representation are female there. And ironically, that is meant to be a lawmaking body. Also, we cannot talk about the future of Nigeria while leaving our girls behind. A significant majority of out-of-school children today are girls. I read somewhere that out of 20 million, 12 million are girls. This needs to change. When we talk about access to finance, the rules are not the same. You find that you go to banks and they have women's desk, they have women's fund, and so on and so forth. But I challenge them. Whilst I appreciate all the grants and, the little that, okay, let me go back. If you look at the SMEs and the MSMEs, representation there of women are about 60%, over 60%. By the time you look at medium to large scale companies, we're looking at 10% representation. Why is that? Why is it that women cannot access major tickets, major fund for big dreams that they have? Why do they have to have demonstrated capacity and really demonstrated capacity, discipline, and so on and so forth before they can sit in the room talking to large fund financiers? And I see that there is a missing middle. In that middle, women are missing. You have so many women in the startup stage, but in terms of scaling, that becomes a problem. And so only a few of them land in the medium to large scale. And some of it, I feel, is access to funding. I once asked the MD of one of the banks that we get funding from, and I said, why do you give my company funding? Is it because I'm a woman? A lot of banks or a lot of, fund companies, they want to sort of tick that they are compliant with SDG. So they have funds for women, so they've got to tick that box, But is it that? And he said something. He said, look, women, this work-life balance it's a reality. And a lot of women, because of the work-life balance, they are not able to give their time and resources solely to their business. And that sometimes plays against them, and so they are not able to sort of scale from that level of MSMEs and SMEs to large and medium scale businesses. But I find out that as women, to actually scale there, we have to work so much harder. We have to apply so much resilience. And I know we can do it. We have to show and demonstrate capacity. We have to demonstrate discipline. We have to demonstrate how we take decisions. We have to ensure that our emotions do not get into the decision-making process that we go in. So there's so much more women have to do to prove that they can sit in the room when it comes to the big tickets. So I feel that this needs to change. If a woman has a big idea, why can't she be funded? You see, this missing middle we have, it is not a talent gap, it's a capital gap. The women do not have the capital to really fulfill and actualize that huge dream that they have. I had a big dream, but honestly, I started small. So I started small. I had to demonstrate that, gosh, this can do. More funds came, started again, more funds came. But maybe if I was given that right from the beginning, we'll be talking global by now. I don't know. But much more needs to be done. Leadership transformation demands that deliberate steps needs to be taken to address all these subtle issues. Access to capital for women in business at startup and scaling are equally important areas crying for our attention. Now, when we speak of action, as I round up, we talk about decisive implementation that generates tangible results. Action is what separates a conference discussion from actual change. It separates our discussion from just a discussion to actual change. It involves specific, measurable steps like funding, appointing, and procuring from women, and then measuring the results through data. For us at Secure ID, action involved transformational leadership right from the onset of the vision. It was boldly and relentlessly pursued, refusing to accept the limitations of gender. It meant having the confidence to raise financial and investor capital, building a world-class manufacturing facility, both here in Nigeria and then in Kenya. So we went into Kenya, for instance, Greenfield, got a place and built a factory there. And that's boldness. Okay. And as women, we can do it. Whether your strategy is to go into these markets organically or whether it's to go in inorganically, of course, that depends on your analysis and so on. But talking about transformative change in policy making, we are not here to ask for handouts or entitlements for women. Nothing will change if laws and policies are not enacted to support it. While laws alone cannot erase every systemic bias, they determine who is invited to sit at the decision-making table and whose voice carries the weight of authority. So we should look at our neighbors to see what is possible when policy moves from rhetoric to action. If we look at Rwanda, which we all know, Rwanda embedded a gender parity directly into its constitution, mandating that at least 30% of lawmakers in the lower house be women. Today, after the elections in 2024, Rwanda exceeded that mandate, with women taking about 63.8% of seats in the Chamber of Deputies. This is not an accident of culture. It is the result of deliberate legal and institutional framework, including the revised National Gender Policy. And so, in closing, I began with 3 words. I want to end with them, carrying everything that came between them. Rights. Not what women are waiting to be given, but what women already hold in them, and what every institution represented in this room is obliged to honor in its decisions, not just in its declarations. Justice. Justice, not the exception that proves the rule. Some of it needs to be redesigned. And action. I stand before you today in the hope that I have encouraged and inspired you on the limitless capabilities inherent in women's leadership. But it goes beyond that. I am asking you to seize the moment. Let's not talk it. Let's do it. Let's create opportunities, women, and let's exploit them in full confidence. So, talking nationally, I'm asking you to fund it. I'm asking you to appoint it, to procure it, to invest in it, and then to keep measuring it. Thank you very much, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Ms. Akungugbe. Yes, the president has taken a cue. Can we have a standing ovation for our guest speaker? You can go back. I'll call you. Let it continue until she makes her seat. You know, that's the benefit of having the microphone. My president is still standing. Mr. President, sit down and let others sit down too. Let's have a seat. That is vintage Mrs. Akungugbe. I kept on writing and writing and writing. Without trying to do a rehash of what she said, I just want to mention a few things. Take your right to find opportunity. And this goes with the theme of the meeting point of rights, justice, and action for all women and girls. So she said, take your right to find opportunity. Visioning was future-focused, resilient, and bold. So our visioning for security from the outset was made from bold decisions. There's a plant that can produce 200 million cards per day. Ms. Akungugbe, so, Madam, our guest speaker, you can produce cards for all Nigerians daily as it is today in a year. So you can imagine that capacity. Let's appreciate her again for that feat. Then size or startup is not a barrier to success. I mean, so Secure ID started at a startup and scaled up to where they are today. Quality was a differentiator. So if you are trying to scale up, be aware that quality is very, very important. Action separates discussion from actual change. And that's one of the things that beset strategy. So you have a very solid strategy articulated or written or codified, but they're never executed. Again, that was a very good presentation by our guest speaker. And I'm sure that when we have the fireside chat and the Q&A session to be anchored up by our moderator, we'll have more of our guest speaker. Thank you, madam. Next on the agenda is the sponsor's video advert, Cardinal Stone. Let's have your advert, sponsor. Cardinal Stone. Don't judge Cardinal Stone by the length of that advertorial. They're a money spinning venture in the capital market. So I have the singular honor to bring to the podium to start the fireside chat the moderator for today's event. As I did for the guest speaker, our profile is very, very abridged. If I should count the awards this moderator had won over the years, we won't live here. Victory Wilson, I threw a challenge to her that she's going to tell us what part of Nigeria she's from. Because when you say Victory Wilson, I wonder, okay, let's see. Victory Wilson is a multi-award winning broadcast journalist, international event host, MC, media entrepreneur, and mental health advocate with a distinguished presence across Africa's media and event landscape. She has served, and I skip some of the paragraphs, she has served as host for major platforms, including Miss Universe 2023 to 2025, the Silverbird Man of the Year Awards, Global Business Conference, Global Tech Africa, Africa Creative Market, Nigerian FinTech Week. So, guest speaker and the moderator, they have a meeting point. Women Economic Forum West Africa, and several flagship conferences of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. That is my institute. I used to be a banker too. She has also hosted events for multinational brands, including MTN Nigeria and other leading institutions. Please let me just keep a lot of your details. But I will not omit this. She had a first-class degree in psychology and MSc Industrial Relations. For people that have third class and pass here, please clap. You don't have a first class by idling away. So let me just skip the rest. I think that first class just explains everything. Let me invite the moderator to come and do her job as she welcomes our guest speaker. Please do your job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please, a round of applause for the chairman. Thank you so much. And a round of applause for yourselves.
Let me correct you. I'm a chairman of a committee. That is the chairman, Mr. President.
I will still introduce him as the president and chairman of council. So yes, I'm well informed. Please, another round of applause for the chairman committee. And a round of applause for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking for the men because I can only see 2 men here. Okay, so it's International Women's Day. Today is International Women's Day by the NBCC. All through the month of March, we're celebrating women. And there's one thing that I noticed. Women, we celebrate other people a lot, but we don't celebrate ourselves. And some of us have not even received any hug from a fellow woman this morning. So look to the person seated right next to you and give her a warm hug. Women to women. But if there's a man sitting next to you, you can just give him a high five. Thank you so much. Distinguished guests, Mr. President and Chairman of Council, respected leaders, members of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, partners, and everyone joining us here today, virtually and physically. Thank you so much for being here to celebrate International Women's Day with us under the global theme, Rights, Justice, Action for all women and girls. My name is Victory Wilson. I'm a broadcaster and an international events compere. So I asked everyone to give themselves a hug, but that hug is not enough because as we get into this conversation, I want you to give us your 100% attention because we're focusing on action. So I want you to act a lot. So indulge me. Are you ready for the next action? Are we ready? Okay, so the next action is going to be words of affirmation. So look to the woman seated right next to you and look into her eyes. Like you love her, you know? And say, dear woman, I see you. Say it with smile. If the person is not saying it with a smile, look to another person. Say, dear woman, I see you. I see your strength. Oh, I'd like to encourage the men now. I'm sorry, but you can take the cue and say it to yourselves. You are amazing. Your voice matters. Your strength is evident in everything you do. Dear woman, never doubt your power. And now, together, we will open doors and create opportunities for all women and girls. But above all, I love you. All right, give them a hug again. You know, you just said, I love you. I love the warmth in this room. Please, a round of applause for yourselves. So women, we should take time to always appreciate ourselves. And I think that's why we take time to celebrate International Women's Day every year. Now, it is my honor to get right into our business of the day, a powerful fireside chat, where we'll explore what justice truly looks like in our institution. So this is going to be in-depth. You've heard from our keynote speaker. She said everything. In fact, her journey is inspiring. It has shown us that barriers can be broken, industries can really be transformed, and new paths can be built for generations to come. So join me, welcome again upstage for our fireside chat. I want to read my own profile, so indulge me. Thank you. Because she is a remarkable example of vision, resilience, and leadership, a trailblazer, a pioneer, and a powerful example of what happens when vision meets courage. She is the celebrated founder and managing director of Secure ID Limited, Africa's first smart card manufacturing plant. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking of a woman of courage, Mrs. Kofo Akinkugbe, OON. Thank you for that warm applause. Okay. I said earlier that you said everything, and your story is really inspiring. You took your right to scale, to excel, to go global, and you exercised those rights, and now you are here. OON for that matter. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. But now, I know you talked about some of the challenges that you went through, and you gave a very relatable example of how men can easily sign deals because they can go to clubs and meetings, but women were restricted. There's a limit to what you can do, so they will not tag you as someone who is everywhere, and so you can get the job done. But now, looking back on your journey, what were the defining moments that really shaped your determination to succeed despite all the odds?
Thank you very much, Victory. Defining moments, I think it actually started with the value that you were going to bring. So, profit is good, but legacy took a higher stage with me in my mind. I wanted to add value. I saw the gap, and I felt things could be better. And that was what was driving me, And each time I see more gaps, I want to add more value. And that drives me. And then after the money comes, But those were the defining moments. Now, doing something that we thought was not possible in this part of the world, and having a team that owned the vision was also another defining moment. And the leadership style was more transformative. It was more getting the people to understand where the end game is. And they did understand it. And, when people come to the factory, they always say, gosh, the people are it's like they're so proud of what they do. And so I think doing it and proving that it can be done is what has defined the moment really for us.
Amazing. And I like how you said for us instead of me. You're such a we person. And you spoke about legacy, having a team that is committed as well. And I can sense that even while you were building, you didn't think about the awards and the accolades and the recognition. You didn't even think you would scale globally. So at what point did you realize that you're a pioneer? Lightly asked. You know, sometimes we don't come to that realization. And now I introduced you as a pioneer. Everyone introduces you as a pioneer. But at what point did you realize that I am really a pioneer in this field?
I think at the beginning. Pioneering means that you're doing something that hasn't been done before.
Yes.
And it's very easy when you have an idea to look at other companies around you and try and benchmark and just see where their failings are and do it. That's very, very easy. But in our case, we looked around and there was no company to benchmark. So I had to benchmark against the number one in the world, which was a French company. And basically went through, I remember that I used to read all because they were listed. So the auditor reports were there and so on. I used to read through, visited their factories as well in different parts of the world and so on. So we knew from the beginning that we were doing something new. The question was, did we have the courage to do it? Knowing that there were a lot of barriers or challenges when you talk about infrastructure that was there. You know, when you come to a smart card plant, when you come to a plant, there are no windows because it's like a vault. You need to have sensors everywhere, right at the ceiling and below as well, to get all those global certifications. If a fraud takes place, whether it's in a bank or telecoms, that's the first place that they come to. There were just too many rules and too many things to comply with. And so it was, can we really do it? Then a lot of the machines had to be in a place that is dust-free, and also where, they could not afford any downtime in power, because those machines can have issues if that happens. So they were very sensitive machines. I remember going to one of our OEMs, German manufacturers, to say, look, we want to get it. And he told me, and these are machines that are millions of euros. And he was saying, no, it can't work there. And I'm like, it will work there, and it will work here. And he wasn't surprised. He was really shocked he was in shock that we got the machine and we got it working here. But you're talking about dealing with cards and semiconductors. So we are in cards, plastic. We are also in the semiconductor space, where you're dealing with chips as well that are very sensitive, extremely sensitive. There has the temperature of the air and even the water that the machine uses. We had to build a water treatment plant so that a particular type of water is what goes in. So all of these are barriers and things that you can easily be put off and say, why do I want to go through this? Really, I can import the cards and
I think at this time we should give her a round of applause. A woman who saw a manufacturing and technology industry, an industry where we have women underrepresented, and you still went there and took charge, even when they were telling you it can't be done. Another round of applause for this Amazon. Now let's get to the theme of today: rights, justice, and action. From your perspective as a business leader and mentor, what does justice truly look like for girls and women today?
As I said, it goes beyond, it's a very tough one because it goes beyond the law. You can have the law, but there's still systemic barriers. How do you change culture? And, we say to ourselves, oh, this woman, she's operating in the male industry. But who defined it as a male industry?
Yeah.
Pilots were flying. Why is it a male industry? Who defined it? So the barriers are external and they are also internal as well, So from my perspective, yes, the laws are good. It will help. We must have them. Unfortunately, it's not that we want handouts or we want preferential treatment, but because the culture is so deep. I think I was reading somewhere where World Bank says that it will take about 123 years to get that equality, So that culture is so inherent in the system, in the world system, that law alone cannot erase it. So it's going to take a long time, and it's going to start from us women believing in ourselves, getting rid of self-doubt, dealing with the fears. And then, of course, it's going to take the institutions and national, international to look at the laws and see how justice can prevail and be enforced, when we are faced with those sort of inequalities.
Beautiful. Taking a cue from what you said, who built those systems? Who said those industries should be male dominated? Mm-hmm. So let me just check something with my audience. Do you believe that women deserve equal opportunity? If you believe, say absolutely. It's not loud enough. Some people don't believe. Absolutely. More like it. So we'll move to the next question that goes in line with that. Now, across many sectors, we see policies supporting gender equality now. And, but implementation often lags behind. So how can institutions just translate good intentions to real action? Because I am a sucker for action. It's enough for us to talk, but it's better when we act. So how can these institutions translate good intentions to real action that changes women's lives?
I mean, part of what we're doing today is action. So we just need to continue to make those advocacies so that the institutions can act. And then who sits at the table? Who is the decision maker at those institutions? They must be sold out to this equality that we're crying out for. So that matters a lot. And we need to have a system that measures. So it's not one thing to say it and say, okay, so we have this policy now, but hey, next year, what progress have we made with the policy? So there has to be data to measure it. I mean, we were talking about banks, but the banking system is fantastic, where we have data. We know that there are a lot of CEOs of banks that are women. We need to have that across all sectors. And also even in the political space as well.
So having women have a seat at the table, especially in the political space. We'll get to Nigeria's political space, hopefully. The way you even looked up, we have to put it in our prayer points. All right, but you're a leader who has opened doors for many women. In fact, I'm sure that many young girls watching us right now, just seeing that you did it, will know that they can do it, especially in your field. But what bold actions do you think are necessary today to increase women's participation in leadership, governance, and economic decision making? Because that's very important.
In leadership participation, first of all, women need to see a lot of other women doing well as leaders, okay, and making that impact. That encourages. Apart from the fact that there will be policies as well that need to back that up. In terms of governance, we all need to understand that governance is what truly supports legacy. And what do I mean by that? You don't have to be a publicly listed company to comply with standards and governance. You can decide on your own that you want your company to comply with the best way of doing business or running a business, so that when you have governance, the legacy is assured and it goes beyond whoever is the founder or whoever is the champion behind it. And so we need to understand that governance is key, and that's what keeps the company going in terms of legacy. So if you have succeeded, another person that comes, it's a company that already complies with best standards. Not because they have to, but because they want to. and because they have a global mindset as well, and they know that they want to add value, not just in their local space, but also in the world space, so women have to, if they want to grow big and leave a legacy, governance is very key. The third one was
economic decision making.
Yes, economic decision making. Again, as we have to, as women, we have to take decisions that are economically viable. As I said, don't go with your emotions. Go with your mind, not necessarily your heart. Look at the numbers, look at the figures. What are the numbers saying? Do your analysis extremely well. Look at the risk. What should I be doing? And if we do that, we will take decisions that are, economically viable. I remember there was a year where 40% of my revenue was going to be taken out because the government came up with a policy that the telecoms industry should not sell any SIM cards, which means I cannot produce SIM cards. Okay? And that's an economic issue. All right? And which also says that, you see, when there are challenges, a lot of women sometimes just raise their hand up and give up. No. But what we had to do is that we had thought ahead of it to say, look, we need to be extremely diversified so that if one area poses a problem, you can depend on the other areas. And that was what saved us that year,
Yes. So you said something about when there are challenges, sometimes women step back. And there was something I was thinking of when you were giving your speech. Many women have the potential, the capacity, not even potential. But I think sometimes what pulls them back is that they don't think they are ready. Or should I ask the room? Women sometimes underestimate their readiness for governance. Am I right? Some people are nodding and some people aren't. A lot of people are nodding. That means I'm saying the right thing. And that's why most times women don't step into those shoes. But what mindset shift is necessary? I want this advice to come from you because I'm sure that you had a mindset shift. You talked about going with your mind, not necessarily your heart. Not every woman has factored that in yet because we are biologically wired to be emotional and we need to take up these leadership roles. Some are doing it, more can do it, and we can do it better. So what mindset shift is necessary for women, stepping into leadership roles?
I think, we've talked about having a legacy mindset. Honestly, legacy mindset will rewire you, if you know that you're here for the long haul, and you're here to add value. Your decision making will be different because you're not here to just make quick money, and go. You're not here to get the applause and whatever. You want to add real value. And that will drive the way you take decisions. I'm not saying that the intuition we have is not an advantage. It is an advantage as well. It is an advantage. But, there are times that we have to really, as I said, look at the reality that is ahead of you. And logically, maybe it's the mathematician in me, but look at it and take logical decisions. This is happening. Where can I be in this space? And so on. So I think the real shift that we're talking about is that legacy, having a legacy mindset. That's what it is. When we started in Secure ID, it wasn't about where the market was at the time. Because if I looked at where the market was, I definitely we would not have invested what we invested. Yeah. But it was where the market could be. And in each of our different spaces, that's how we should look at it. We shouldn't look at the space now. We should look at where should this space be? And then operate with the end in mind, So that is a shift that I think would then, affect how you lead, how you take decisions, even those that you bring on your board, investors that you invite in, all of these affect it.
Beautiful. Please, a round of applause for her. And as you're clapping, just look to the woman sitting next to you and tell her, think legacy. Think legacy. That's the only way we would secure our leadership positions. Now, to finally wrap this up, there is one important question, because we're opportune to be in the major city where we can have these conversations. But there are some people in the rural areas that don't have opportunities to have these conversations or even see what women are doing. So how can leaders ensure that empowerment initiatives, the things that they're already doing to empower women, reach women everywhere, especially those in the rural areas?
I mean, first of all, as women and leaders, it's our responsibility. We're not here for just ourselves. We're here for those that represent womanhood. I saw somewhere where someone said, I'm not a feminist, but I'm a womanist. I just love women. And I love the way they're able to, multitask and so on. There's so much strength in a woman. When we know that whatever we do, another woman is watching us, we'll be extremely careful as to what to do. And we need to take that responsibility in our very little ways. If we have to go out, and speak to women or speak to girls in school, that's impact. But we should take it as our collective responsibility, because things are not going to change, or that equality that we want to see is not going to happen with just a few people. It's got to be broader and spread round, and not just in Nigeria, everywhere. So it's our responsibility to see a girl child or to see a woman in the rural area rise. That should make us extremely proud. So if we see it as our collective responsibility, we will do things. We will sign up to NGOs. We will do our own little foundation work, and so many women groups and whatever they are doing, we will support them, because that's the way that we can also add impact.
Beautiful. And that's why I asked us to make the affirmative pledge earlier. Please, a round of applause once again for our guests, the one and only Mrs. Kofo. I cannot let you leave this chair without giving a punchy word of advice to girls and women watching right now that aspire to be a leader, to build, to make impact, to build legacy especially. What message do they carry in their heart as they go about pursuing their ambitions?
What I would say is, please don't give up. I know that, I'm sorry it's not a punchy word, but I know that there's so much inherent fear in women. And that's because there's so much to do. Business is important, but family is also very important. And how we balance it sometimes can be very daunting and very, it can be really tiring, but we can do it. Is what I want to say to you. Please don't give up. You can do it. There is a lot of potential in you, and we're with you every step of the way.
Beautiful. A round of applause once again for Mrs. Kofo Akinkugbe OON. Tell your neighbor you can do it. Don't give up. Say it like you mean it. You can do it. Don't give up. In fact, don't you dare give up. Thank you once again for your attention. Thank you once again. This has been such an insightful time. I learned a lot as well. Everything I wrote down was from your speech, so thank you. Thank you for leading the way, for blazing the trail so that young girls can dream, can aspire, and can become. Another round of applause for Mrs. Kofo. Akinkugbe OON. So now the floor is open for questions. If you have any question, please. All right, so we have some hands. Do we have someone who would help with the microphone in the audience?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ade Ronke Adeyegbe. And I wanted to find out if Secure ID has a strategy direction for machine learning and the use of technology. Thank you.
Yes, please take it.
Yes. You know, as I said, we're a technology manufacturer, so we can't be blind to technology. And that's what drives us. We have a digital department that focuses on that, focuses on ensuring that our machines are AI driven, and because the sort of machines we use, if the technology is not advanced, we would not be able to produce the sort of quality that we want, So yes, there's a lot of machine learning in every one of our activities within Secure ID.
Okay. So because of time, we'll just take like 4 more questions. Okay, we have a hand there. Sorry, I didn't see you. You have a microphone.
Yes,
Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ade Dunuba. I work with Airs Energies. Thank you very much, Mrs. Akinkugbe. Extremely inspiring. And we will not dare to give up.
Yes, that's the word.
Yes. So my question, I'm particularly interested in how the woman space has played out in your organization. So what's the sort of profile, both within your leadership as well as across your shop floor? And is this something that you did deliberately, or it just happened? Thank you.
Thank you. Very important question. Yes, it was, to be honest, it was deliberate. Up to our maintenance and engineering team, I wanted women there. We had a woman, she's left us now, but we're looking for someone to replace her. So we had a young girl engineer there that was in our maintenance team, and, repairing the machines when they break down, so that was good. We have a lot of women. It's still work in progress. So I would say that at the leadership, we're about 60-40, senior management. Getting to the bottom, it's about 62-38%. We're a 24/7 factory, so we have a few women that work in the factory, but we deliberately also make sure that there was a time that I went into the factory late at night and I saw somebody who was pregnant and working, and I said, no way, don't do this anymore, and I had to quickly send her to HR. But it's deliberate. It's actually a KPI that my board has given me as well. And just to say that on my board and shareholder is my husband, who is in this room, Kunle Akinkugbe. Thank you. So it's a very important KPI for us. So it's work in progress. We're about 62-38%. 62 for male, 38 for female. But as you go up the ladder, it's about 60-40. But we want to see those numbers grow.
And I think women should also look to going into those industries as well. Yeah. It's because we don't have a lot of women in the manufacturing industry. Yeah. They say, oh, it's a male-dominated space. Yeah. Think of my daughter being a manufacturer. Think about it. All right, please, we have another question there.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mrs. Kufuor-Akinkugbe. My name is Rafiat Onitiri, the chairperson for the Association of Professional Women Bankers. Thank you very much for that beautiful, inspiring, and educative presentation. My question really is directed at how was Secure ID able to navigate the African market, considering the complexities that African market face? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, to start with, the dream and the vision was not just for domestic consumption, it was international consumption. So we knew that we needed to have certain international certifications, global certifications that would easily open the door for us. So that's one. But there are other barriers you face when you get in there. Even as little as, let me talk first logistics. We want to export to Cameroon. Sometimes the goods will go first to France and then come down to Cameroon. So the logistics infrastructure across Africa is something that is not perfect yet, but I know they're looking into it, especially under the AFCTF, AFTA that is going on. So that's logistics. The other thing is language barrier. Francophone countries are very comfortable getting their goods from France and, this big global French companies. So how we've done it is we went in there. They have a certification called, I don't want to bore you, but they have a particular certification. So we went in there to get that certification. And then we went in there and got a partner there that is local to represent us, to be able to capture that market as well. So there are many issues with cross-border distribution. Nigeria still remains the biggest market in Africa, but it's always nice to have all the other countries as well. So that's how so the way we've been able to navigate it is letting our brand and quality speak for ourselves. Under AFTA, thank God, because that's making waves now. When you're an African country producing in the continent and exporting to other African countries, you enjoy some tariff discount rebate. So that helps and makes you a lot more competitive than dealing with a company from outside the continent. But more importantly is the brand, and it's the quality, it's the certification that you have and the ability to ensure that your quality matches, is at par with global standards. Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have any other question?
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Akikugbe. My question is, my name is Bumi Oke, and I'm the CEO of Ladybird Advertising, and I'm a past president of the Advertising Association of Nigeria. But more important, my question is, how did growing up shape your go-getter, resilience, quality, and determination to succeed? And did your mathematical skills assist along with your banking experience? And please share a bit about how family life also helped support. And the reason why I asked that question, just 1 minute, I recall, almost 20 years ago, apart from knowing Mr. Akungbu in school from afar, she came to Abuja. You may not remember. Then I was working at National Open University. And it was a day nobody was around. And she was so determined to get to see the VC. Fortunately, I was working the VC, but we went upstairs. But what it taught me, she went through all the rigor. And at that time, the building was not even particularly palatable. She went through everything. So that action, she means business. And 20 years. So I want people to understand that it's not just story. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I don't know if my mom is here. Is my mom here? No? Okay. She wanted to come and I said, please come. It's International Women's Day. So let's celebrate, so that she can be here to take the applause for the upbringing. My prayer champion and encourager, praying and encouraging and praying for strength to go on. So she's probably watching us online. So that helped. I'm from a family of about 8 siblings. And my dad was very particular with, like all of us, education, you know how it is. And especially you must know maths, so that you must know maths got to me, and I ended up doing maths as a degree, Now, has that helped me? Yes, because before I got to I must know maths, there was a lot of fear that I couldn't do it. And I had to deal with that internal fear to actually get through doing hard maths and then to end up in university doing mathematics as a degree and to even think of doing it as, doing a PhD in maths.
You took it personally.
So that really helped me, because what maths does is that your thinking is a lot more logical. You tend to analyze things in a very different way. And you're because you're always solving problems in maths. So you're able to solve life problems looking at it logically. So I think that really helped me. In terms of my banking career, yes, that really had a major impact. I remember when I left banking, to be honest, my husband supported me fully with a very busy banking career at the time. And I remember when I went to him and I said, you know what? I want to do school runs with the children, but I still have to work because I'm driven. But I want to do the school runs, not just, I want to get him, a lot more involved, like we women sometimes feel. And apart from that, banking was not really, I'm the old banker from the days of Continental, IMB, not the new generational banks. So, banking was changing then, so it was a little uninteresting for me at the time. And so I left banking for sort of work-life balance, but not to stay at home, but to discover myself and discover what I could do. And whilst I was at home for 3 months, a business idea came up with me to do biometric technology, which again hadn't been done in Nigeria. So using your palms to identify yourself, or using your iris to identify yourself for time and attendance, for access control, and so on. So I set up that first company. And honestly, I set it up. I had my office in the guest room in our house at the time. Almost like I didn't even want it to grow because I wanted to stay at home. But by the time we did the first job, the quality was so good, a lot of bank MDs started to come and say, come and do this, come and do this. Before we knew it, I, moved out of the house, found an office, got like 40 engineers. We were doing different, for the telecoms industry, for the banking industry, and doing all their access control nationally, but in terms of support, yes, there was a huge support system. Having a husband that believes in you and was supporting you to go on. I have thought that going into, yes, it is.
Please, a round of applause for the he for she. Please, you can stand up for recognition, sir. I need to see you at the back. Thank you.
And of course, having parents and having, my dad is late now, but my mom, who is here now, 92.
Mommy is finally here. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Ma.
For her prayers and encouragement and so on. So all of that was good because, you see, for women, we need to be stable, honestly, to make good decisions. And sometimes family gives us, it's a source of that stability. That helps us to take decisions, dream, and move on, and, carry it out as planned. So that helped a lot. Did my first company for about 9 years. I have a woman that manages it. It's about over 24, 5 years now. That's the first company. And then saw a space in what we've just talked about and founded Secure ID, which is where I currently am. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to go into finance, but you've said it all. Your family was there, your husband was there.
Okay. So what I wanted to say about banking, how it helped, sorry, I forgot, is I remember, you see, because you've come from banking in those days was really structured. Corporate governance was high, and it was just governance was extremely high and the structure was good. So when I started my business, I applied those same structures to it because it was already inherent in me. You know, you were so proud to be a banker in those days, no matter which bank you're coming from. I remember in those days at IMB, I would go with the 504 to big companies like Unilever, like Cadbury, and once they see the logo on the car, the gate opens. You know, you don't have to drive any special type of car. But yeah, banking was so good that in those days it was to advise your clients, get into what they're doing, how can they grow, and so on. It wasn't about getting deposits, if you understand what I'm saying. So there was so much structure. So I brought that governance and structure into my personal business, you know, and that really, I would say, helped me.
Thank you. All right. We'll take our final question. Yes, please. Okay.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mrs. Ofo Akikugbe. Thank you so much. I was just telling Mrs. Azizi Antiade that I think you started the Afrofuturism movement before it became a thing, because all of your ideas were quite futuristic.
I agree.
My name is Sholape Akinpelu, and I lead a female-focused fintech called Harvest, and I'll take my question from that. I call people like us entrepreneurs of capital. We're basically trading capital. That's the commodity. So we're constantly raising capital for the business, for its sustainability, and also raising capital so that we can steward it to women that are often left on the fringes of financial services. One of our biggest concern, okay, maybe I should say mine and even other colleagues who are on this line, is fundraising. It's tough. People fall in love with the story. Oh, you're funding for women. You are looking at the, rural women. They fall in love with the story. But when it comes to cutting the check, it becomes a challenge. And we often, encounter some microaggressions. You're fundraising, you're in a room, it's 8 p.m. and they say, you've been, this beautiful pitch, you go through it. And then, yeah, okay, who's going to make dinner for your husband? You're here, look at the time, it's 8 p.m. Right. And you're wondering how that is connected to, what you're doing. But so many other things that we see, and it slows the journey. Yeah. So as a woman that's Afrofuturistic, you've been doing, you've been leading, you've been thinking, you are quite active, and we're seeing the growth, we celebrate it. How were you able to navigate, all of those? Did you even experience them at all? So maybe not in that exact way, but when the doors got slammed, we get it in a double whammy way. So it's firstly like you're a woman, and then you're trying to, finance for women, affordable finance. I've heard all the ridiculous things. Women are not ready. They are not interested. They just want to look good and buy fancy shoes. Are you sure? They will eat the business. The husband will fund it. If you have another business idea, bring it. But you want to lend to women, we don't think it works. So how were you able to navigate all of that? Thank you so much. And then I just want to say that I think that International Women's Day is always the most beautiful day at the chamber, if President would agree with me. The room is always so elegant and filled with amazing women and allies. I think we should do this more often. Thank you so much, President.
We can celebrate the president and chairman of council for that. All right, please take the question.
Well, you are quite right. And when I was speaking, I talked about the missing middle, where there is a missing part where you don't find so many women. There's a lot of women in micro SMEs, a lot of women, a little bit in the SMEs, but micro SMEs, there are a lot of women, about 60% representation. But by the time they need to scale, it's very, very difficult for them to access that sort of funding, and something needs to be done about that, definitely. Now, thankfully, a lot of institutions that fund, they have to, because it's also an SDG goal, where they have to fund women, either give grants or give blended capital or give certain things for women for startup. Did I go through it? Well, as I said, maybe because coming as a banker, we as women also have to be able to write the analysis of what we want the funds for properly. We need to look at the risk. We need to look at the mitigants of those risks, okay? And we need to look at those numbers, and we need to be able to show it on the papers that even if the banker or the financier doesn't even know that it's a woman behind it, just looking at the paper alone, it tells the story. So that paper needs to tell the story. Okay. What are the projections? Do you understand the market well? And have you demonstrated it in the analysis that you put forward before them? When I was a banker, I was always looking at this. I was in credit and marketing, so I give funds out. So I knew how to write a good paper, for the banks to look at and say, yes, this is a good idea to follow. But what you've said is quite sad, because those are the systemic barriers that we're talking about, cultural barriers, which we need to do something about. It's going to take time, but we're going to have to keep breaking it. There's been there's been progress. If you look at women in agric, even women in agric are exporting. And women need to also go into fields. They shouldn't be scared to go into fields that people say are for the men. So you need to go into those fields, not fields that just limits your growth. Okay, but fields that are bold, and you can do it because there's really no difference. Okay, and so first of all, representation of what you need, why you need the money, how it's going to, the returns that it's going to bring. You need to be able to have demonstrated good analysis. That is very important, and then of course, you're going to meet challenges along the way. How do you react to those challenges? That's also very important. So in terms of whether I went through it, I would say probably at the beginning, not really, because of the background, and I knew that it was good to demonstrate, have a proven record. When you have a proven track record, capital will follow you. I am telling you, capital, you'll be tired, because they'll be knocking at your door. I want to invest, and all you have to think of is that, look, is there synergy? You're not thinking of money, but you're thinking of, is there synergy? Do we share the same vision? Do we share the same values? And so on and so forth. That's extremely important. But I would say to the women going through that, there are funds out there for women. Hurry up, demonstrate your capacity, and go in for hire. And if they say no, break that door down. Just keep going. There are funds you can get, not just in Nigeria, but it's all over the place,
Thank you so much. With that, we wrap up the fireside chat. Please, another round of applause. Okay, I've been asked to take one more question. Someone kindly help with the microphone.
Hello.
Yes, it's
hello.
working.
Yeah, good afternoon. I guess it's afternoon now. Hello, Kofu. I'm sure you know we go back almost 60 years. My question is this: you are into manufacturing, and manufacturing in Nigeria is not for the faint-hearted. How have you been able to handle things like rising operational costs? If last week you bought diesel for 1,000 naira, maybe this week you're buying it for 1,700 naira. Then also, have you been able to navigate the banking industry well? Because I'm a big borrower in the market. You can start off with 10% today, that Tomorrow, NPR has gone up. So how are you able to, over the years, manage this thing, but still maintain your price and your costing? Because if you're not careful, you may think, one may think one is making money, but you are not actually capturing your cost very well because of all these policies, either changing policies, rising operational costs, monetary policies of the government, and various regulatory bodies. Please tell us how you've been able to navigate that.
Thank you very much. Yeah. The first thing is, what business are you in? Is it a business that is adding value? If that business that is adding value, you will navigate. Okay? Because that business is needed. Your product is needed. Okay? Now, of course, in going through the value chain and getting the product, of course, we go through all of that. The interest rates are extremely high. Operating cost is high. Power cost is high, no matter how you look at it, and so on and so forth. But first of all, let's even define the business. Is that business needed? The other thing is, can your client easily find a substitute to the business that you're doing? All right. Thirdly, innovation. Are you constantly innovating to ensure that there is no alternative to what you're currently doing? So I would say that in terms of strategy, that needs to come on the front burner. All right. But what you're going through is what every business person is going through, whether you're a woman or you're a man, but you just have to keep finding a way. And then you need to look at the core of the business. The core of the business. Can they easily give up on the product that you're doing? And that's why you need to innovate. Innovation is extremely key in what we do. You have to innovate, you have to know the market, you have to predict the market that you serve as well. As to the realities, the NPRs, the high interest rate, well, we're going to scale through. We're going to also come out of it. Okay? We're going to scale through, we're going to come out of it. Business goes from one stage to the other, but strategically, you have to be on top of your game.
Please, another round of applause for Mrs. Kofo Akinkugbe ON. Thank you so much for this amazing. All right. Please keep clapping till she leaves. I hope that this conversation has inspired everyone here to move from just speaking to taking actionable steps. Now say, don't you dare give up. Thank you so much.
A resounding round of applause for our moderator and the guest speaker. That applause is sufficient. Mr. President, guests, take your seat. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Victor Wilson, for an action-packed fireside chat and Q&A session. Let's appreciate our moderator once more. Wouldn't have chosen a better moderator. The interaction with the audience was top-notch. So when you have mommy here, and if your mom is not 92, you need to use the word mommy. In fact, you use the word grandma. There are some people I see here whose parents are maybe in their 60s. So, Mama, we're very, very happy to have you here. Please just, it's not my remit to ask you to stand, but just stand so that I can see you again. Please. Mommy, sit down. If I'd seen her outside, sit down. Maybe we'll have just given her some lines without knowing that she's 92. Thank you so much. At 92, she's still looking very healthy. If I'd were to guess her age, if I'd seen her outside, without knowing that she was Mrs. Akunkugbe's mom, I would have said maybe she was in her 60s or 70s. Mama, let's appreciate her once more for coming. And that gift is not given to everybody. At 70, some people are already, they're gone. The legs are gone, the ankles are, the knees are gone, and they'll be struggling. And this is not to say, to downplay people that have health issues, but to be at 92 and still very strong says a lot. Of course, if I spoke about Mama, I should speak about Uncle, because I can't call you Baba yet. Mr. Akingugwe, stand up for recognition again for supporting. So when you don't insist that those meals should come very hot and spicy, when you don't insist that it should come at 6:30 or 7 because she's still in the boardroom trying to get on with business, it says a lot. I tell people that if you are very successful, and Mr. Akinkugbe has come forward. Okay, yes. We're very well cultured at the chamber. Mr. President had to descend the steps to receive Mama and also to receive Mr. Akinkugbe as well. Why? Who is repeating my words? I'm on auto display or what? HQ staff, DP Akinoshituke, please wait behind. Moderator, wait behind. Guest speaker, wait. Mr. President, it's not yet time to. DP Oshitoki, moderator, all staff of the HQ, before the vote of thanks, finally. Women HQ staff first. Women HQ staff first. Don't let's mix rice and beans. So let the women take the center stage first. Female staff of HQ. 2 rows. I think you should do 2 rows. I think some people should go a bit. Let's arrange according to our height. Of course, don't put certain persons behind. If not, you won't see them at all. Okay. After the male staff, you have Mrs. Adeola Aziz, the guest speaker, Mrs. Nike Birogba. Now the male staff, male HQ staff, only male now with their t-shirts. Vice President Lara Kayode, Mrs. Ibirogba, Mrs. Adeola Aziz, and the guest speaker, special demand. Okay, fintech, okay. With Ms. Akinpelu as well. Women at the chamber, Mrs. Nike Birogba, Vice President Lara Kayode, Vice Chairman of the Programs Committee, Mrs. Nike Birogba. Mr. President and DP still wait. Moderator wait as well. Mrs. Akinkugbe, please, we need you here. And DG has to join. So why would I mention women of the chamber without a DG? Yes. Vice President Lara Kayode, Mrs. Adeola Aziz, Chairman of MSCB Committee, Mrs. Nike Birogba, Vice Chairman of the Programs Committee, Mrs. Akinkpelu, former Chairman of the IT Committee of the Chamber, and a well-respected member. Then, of course, DG, Mrs. Adele Biyonyedo. You can see our ladies at the chamber. Powerful ladies achieving everywhere. Are they smiling or are they frowning? Media, which one is it? They're smiling. Okay, that's done. Thank you, Mr. President. You've stood for so long doing the honors. Now I have the special privilege to invite the Deputy President of our chamber, Mr. Akin Oshuntoki, to give the vote of thanks. Let's give a resounding round of applause for our Deputy President. That applause is not befitting of our GP, please. Please, let's do it again. The decibel level is not high enough. Thank you, Mr. Oshuntoki.
Thank you very much, Judge. Let me start by thanking our guest speaker, who is an alumnus of Unilag. So let's start there. Put your hands together for the great job. And I must also thank the moderator. What the MC or our anchor did not tell you is that Mr. Akikugbe is an old boy of Government College Ibadan. So put your hands together for Government College Ibadan. But before I go on, I must accept the fact that indeed we have held several events here. None, and I say none, is as colorful as what we have here today. I agree with Sholakwe entirely. Women bring flavors into our lives with their creativity, their strength, and their versatility. Once again, let's put it together for our women. It's been a wonderful time here. But for me, the greatest takeaway this afternoon, is Mommy Shonubi. I want her to please stand up. For those of us who went to school in the 80s, there used to be one artist called Prince Nico Mbaga. So, Mommy, please, if you don't mind, just stand up. Sweet mother, I no go forget you for the... Mommy, please dance. Mommy, dance. You can dance.
Sweet mother. Sweet mother, I never forget you for the suffer where you suffer for me. Yeah. Sweet mother, I never forget you, Mama, for the suffer where you suffer for me. Yeah. When I lay down, my mother go carry me. She go say, "Happy, what you dey carry?" Stop, make you no cry again, no. When I want sleep, my mother go pet me. She go lie me well for bed. Oh. She cover me clouds, say make you sleep, my pikin no.
Together again. Mommy, thank you very much, and we congratulate you on behalf of our President Prince Abimbola Olashore, and indeed the entire chamber, the members of ESCO and members of council. I want to say a very big thank you for joining us at this event, and once again, we thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Akikugbe, OON, Miss Victoria Wilson, and everyone that has been in this beautiful event. Can I please ask that you put your hands together for yourselves? I must thank our sponsors, Health Energies, Bellema FinTech, Lagos Inland Revenue Service, Sovereign Trust, Royal Exchange PLC, Cardinal Stone. Please, let's put our hands together for our great sponsors. Also, I must thank our product sponsors, Right Foods Limited, Page Financials, First Bank of Nigeria, Sycamore, Mayor PLC, and Harvest. Let's thank them for the great support that we have received from them. Now, NBCC is your foremost bilateral chambers. And indeed, we have events lined up week after week into 2027. So let me just read a few of them, and I'm sure you'll want to join us at these events. In this month, we have the 2026 NBCC Trade Mission to the UK, March 25th to 27th, and leading us to that event is the president supported by our chair. Lara, please. Lara Kayode, Miss Lara Kayode. If you want a free ticket to London, please see her after this event. If you want a free ticket, you can see after the event. Thank you, Lara, for putting this great event together. Also, we have the PSG committee event, which is on AI. It's coming up on April 14, 2026, once we are back from London. And the theme is leveraging artificial intelligence for business success. That event is already oversubscribed. The Maritime and Logistics Committee is coming up with one on April 17th. Like I said, is week after week, non-stop. It's unlocking Nigeria's maritime and logistics potential for trade competitiveness and economic growth. We have the UK-Nigeria Trade Corridors event, enhancing bilateral trade flow, connectivity, and investment mobility, April 28, 2026. And we have our usual, members' evening, which is an opportunity for members to network, exchange cards, and make business. We encourage intra-chamber business, while, of course, we also support inter-chamber businesses. So please be with us, and I can assure you that you will not regret it. Take time to go through the facilities that we have in this building. The halls are available for your events. Feel very free to have your business sessions, team building events, and whatever. We don't charge too much. So please wait behind. And we are aware, without being immodest, that quite a number are interested in joining the bilateral chamber. The foremost one, I forgot to add. Please wait behind. The DG will be happy to meet with you. It's always a great time here. Please take our package away and enjoy the lunch. Once again, my name is Akin Oshotoki. I'm the Deputy President of NBCC, and I must say it's great having you here. We look forward to seeing you again. Enjoy your day in hot Lagos. Thank you. God bless you, and have a safe journey back home. Sweet mother, thank you very much, ma.
Thank you. Let's appreciate Mr. Oshitoki for ending the event so majestically. Another round of applause for him. So the media rounds, Mr. President, be prepared. Mrs. Akinkugbe, be prepared. And my sister from Harris Energy should prepare as well. Arise TV and TVC will interview you very shortly. It's time well spent. We spend a part of our morning here this afternoon. Enjoy whatever we are provided with support from our sponsors, and see you next time. All is well that ends well. It ended very well. Let's appreciate ourselves as we say goodbye from the NBCC. Thank you so very much.